More than 10 countries have now expelled Syrian diplomats. How would this stop another massacre?
This is clearly a way to demonstrate the international community's absolute disgust and horror at the actions taken by the Assad regime. The United Nations has made clear that it was the Assad regime that was responsible for the massacre over the weekend that included so many women and children, included the use of tanks and heavy artillery, as well as house by house, street by street killings. Obviously, no single action like that, diplomatic action, stops the regime from its brutal behavior, but it is a cumulative effort, and it is important in that it demonstrates just how isolated the Assad regime has become, how far afield from the international community it has positioned itself in the brutal pursuit of its own continued existence at any cost. We'll work, again, as I said in answer to other questions, with our partners. We'll work and consult with the members of the Security Council on next steps, even as we continue to support the Annan plan, because it helps, at the very least, create a situation where the political transition can move further down the field in anticipation of Assad's eventual departure from power.
40 children were massacred in Hula, and the administration's response is to coordinate with 10 other countries to get them to withdraw diplomats. Is this just a slap on the wrist?
I think our response, as you know, Norah, has been far broader than that. Again, I just described this as a step, one of the many steps that the United States and other nations have taken and will continue to take to isolate and pressure the Assad regime. Make no mistake, it is a horrific example of the brutality of this regime, the extent to which it is willing to go in order to preserve its own power, the depravity and disregard for human life that is demonstrated by this is terrible, and we will continue to make that clear to the world. We will continue to work with our partners and consult with other members of this UN Security Council to discuss future measures that we can take to make clear to Assad that this kind of behavior is not and will not be tolerated by the international community.
And would the U.S. discourage any Gulf nations from arming opposition groups?
I think, as we have said, the concern is that further militarization of the situation in Syria could lead to greater chaos, could make it harder to achieve the political transition that the Syrian people deserve. There is, the nature and shape of and the membership of the opposition is still something that we and our partners are assessing, and that is another consideration that has to be acknowledged when efforts like that are undertaken. Our position now is to provide non-lethal assistance, to provide humanitarian assistance, and to work with our allies and partners to further pressure and isolate the Assad regime.